The earth is literally burning and flooding and flooding and more burning and blowing in hurricanes with sea levels rising and the ice caps melting. We are all doomed. So what is the point in doing anything now? Surely it's too late. If we carry on as we are, and it does seem as if we will, we are going to eventually be facing mass extinction as a combination of greed, capitalism and denial threatens to destroy the very life support system that has allowed us to exist on this Goldilocks planet. We have elected leaders in the mistaken belief that they will listen to the science and act in our best interests by living by example and by making those hard decisions on our behalf. But instead we find them unable to see beyond their own short term in office and pandering to lobbyists, corporations and whoever will offer them the most cash. Millionaire politicians whose basic salary is almost 3 times the average salary and 5 times if they are a minister actually have time to have second jobs. Time for second jobs. If you're paying me 3 times the average salary, I'm not going to have time for a second job. I mean, seriously, who is? We should make these clowns wear bibs in Parliament or whenever they are on parliamentary duty, which, let's face it, at that salary should be full-time, with the name of their sponsor emblazoned on it like footballers do. So is it really any wonder then that so many educated people in the developed world, with all the information they will ever need at their fingertips, are in denial about climate breakdown? This week I'm going to be talking about how you deal with climate change deniers. Forgive them. They know not what they say. They don't want to see the end of days in their lifetime or their children's or their grandchildren's lifetime any more than you do. And mostly they are not arseholes, although there are some exceptions. But beyond forgiving them, I'm going to run through 6 common objections that climate change deniers will give you as they try hard to swallow the red pill of reality. So let's get on with it. Before we get started, do understand that being as angry and as passionate as I am is not usually going to work in real life situations. What works on video, actually I'm not sure if it does, if some of the messages I've been getting of late are anything to go by. Anyway, it will not generally work on a one-to-one situation. So try and remember, as I've already said, most people do not want to see the end of humanity any more than you do. So their denial is simply their way of dealing with it. In fact, sometimes I really wish I had that comfort. Anyway, number 1, it is too late. We are all doomed. It is not too late, but it is getting tight. And every single day we leave it makes it harder to reverse this. A stitch in time saves 9 and all. We are probably at 9 stitches level, but everything is still left to play for. In another year, it will be 18 stitches, but the trousers are not yet ruined. Number 2, what's the point in me doing something? What difference can I make? It doesn't matter who acts. You changing your habits will have the same effect as somebody on the other side of the world changing their habits. But on a local or even national level, your actions are like a vote and help to change the collective psyche. We all make a difference. Be a leader, not a follower. If enough of us lead, others will follow, and then we can collectively force change. George Monbiot recently put out a video on this, and you can see that here, and in the description below. But the rationale goes something like this. If 25% of people get behind a movement, the remaining 75% will follow. So all is not lost. But honestly, going back to the trouser analogy, even as I am recording this video, I think I have just lost another button on my trousers. I hope they don't fall down. You don't want my trousers to fall down now, do you? Number 3, surely science will save us through carbon capture. Staying with the trousers and the stitch in time analogy, you might be right. If we'd started aggressively adopting and developing this technology decades ago when we first knew about man-made climate breakdown, it might have been enough. But now it is simply just another vital part of what we need to do. It's not going to save us on its own. We are decades away from this, if ever it being the answer. And we don't have decades. We don't even have 1 decade before this becomes irreversible if we don't act quickly. Number 4, if this was real, why aren't politicians doing anything about it? I think I covered this in my opening statement, but democracy is broken. I'm not calling here for anarchy or communism. Democracy is flawed, but it is still the best we have got. What I'm doing is calling on you to recognise that we are being manipulated by short-term, self-interested, populist politicians who live in a world that we will never inhabit, a world that most of us don't have any concept of. Yet we expect these people earning 5 times more salary than the average person and still taking on second jobs as advisors to the fossil fuel industry, the meat industry, the water industry, the plastic and car industry to act in our best interest. When the shit hits the fan, those bastards won't be at the coalface with the rest of us. They won't be in inflatable boats with the rest of us. They will have already moved to higher ground, to a temperate climate like doomsday preppers with the right connection and a bank balance. Number 5, plants need carbon dioxide to breathe. This would be hilarious if it wasn't for the fact that so many people actually believe it. Yes, plants and trees do need and also absorb carbon from the atmosphere, and then they turn it into oxygen that we breathe. It's a beautiful balance. It's beautiful that has been going on since the last mass extinction. But human activity has, and this really is the point, continues to mess with this delicate balance. Of course plants need carbon to grow, but too much carbon kills them. And of course I like a little bit of salt on my dinner, but not too much salt. It kills it. There is a video by a guy called Climate Adam, who actually, unlike myself, seems to know what he's actually talking about, that covers this in greater detail. You can see that here and in the description below. Number 6, it's a deep state scam. It's difficult not just to simply laugh at this one also, but I think this brings me back to my original opening remarks about modern politics. People no longer trust their governments, and quite rightly so. Here in the UK where I live, we have had so much scandal that it just seems normal now. Backhanders, jobs for the boys, barefaced lies about Brexit, the jaw-dropping entitled arrogance of holding a bring-your-own-bottle party during lockdown at 10 Downing Street, whilst the rest of us watched our loved ones die on FaceTime. Free holidays for government contracts, do as I say and not as I do. An expenses scandal at such a high level of government. Is it any wonder we don't believe a word they say? But come on, a deep state scam. The beautiful idea that governments who have been fighting each other over fishing rights, oil and fossil fuel rights, extradition of whistleblowers, state kidnapping of innocent people as ransom for old unpaid debts, or a slant on their country, actual wars, cold wars, state-sanctioned torture, brinkmanship, the nuclear arms race, the Star Wars arms race, have all been a charade, because all this time they have all been in cahoots about global warming so that they can make money from green energy. I wish it was a deep state scam. I really do. It would mean it's not real, but it is. You don't have to listen or to believe the politicians if you don't want to, but you really need to listen to the science. And now 99% of scientists agree that climate breakdown is happening. Look outside your window, watch the news, welcome the refugees, because soon you might well be one of them. Coming up next is Ask Angus, where my lovely assistant Anthea reads out yet another question about Insulate Britain that I will try and answer properly this time. So do stick around for that. But in the meantime, if you have found this video useful, disturbing or insightful, you can share it on Twitter, Facebook, Messenger, email, Reddit, LinkedIn, Tumblr, or anywhere else. And if you've not already done so, please do subscribe to my channel and hit the little notification button so that I can annoy you every week with a bing each time I put out a new video. It is entirely free. I don't want your money, just your eyes, your ears, and your open mind. Let me have your comments, your questions, your feedback. Have I missed any common climate denier rationale? Are you a climate breakdown denier? What do you think? And please do scratch the like button. Because of the nature of my channel, the YouTube algorithms see me as subversive. So by liking, subscribing, sharing or commenting, in fact doing all or any of these things really does help me reach a wider audience and helps me get the message out there and hopefully affect positive change.
Coming up next, it's Ask Angus.
Welcome back to Ask Angus. And could I have this week's question please, Anthea?
You tried to answer a question about Insulate Britain a couple of weeks ago, but I noticed you didn't really answer it at all. You just went on about the UK's overall carbon footprint in a very irritating way. So here it is again. What difference can it possibly make to insulate our homes in the UK and to appease these wastrels and reprobates from holding up ambulances and stopping people from going about their normal daily business?
Thank you. You are 100% correct, probably even about the irritating bit. Firstly, for anyone who hasn't seen that reply, what I said is that the UK, with 0.8% of the world's population and somewhere around 3% of the world's total carbon emissions, that scientists are saying is too high to begin with, we will need to reduce our personal carbon footprint by at least 2/3. By at least 2/3. It's simple maths. The heat we waste in the UK through our leaky housing stock is considered to be one of the top things we can fix. Right up there with flying less, moving towards a more plant-based diet and driving less. Ethical Consumer magazine, which is the subject of my next video, puts insulating your home down as the 10th most important thing you can do to reduce your personal carbon footprint in the UK. But interestingly puts switching from gas boiler to heat pumps as being the 3rd most important thing you can do. But what they fail to acknowledge is that a heat pump is virtually useless unless you have a well-insulated home. So really this is at least the 3rd most important thing each of us can do in the UK to reduce our personal carbon footprint by at least 2/3. I hope that makes sense. There is a link in the description below that gives a bit more information on Insulate Britain. And it doesn't matter if you don't live in Britain. This is a worldwide problem. Anywhere we've got a cold climate. So it's worth a look. If you liked this video, you might actually like this one, or indeed this one.
So Obama's talking about all of this with the global warming and that, and a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay? It's a hoax.